Okay, welcome to Introduction to C Programming. This is an overview of your Assignment 6. For this assignment, you're going to get experience writing a program using arrays, strings, and functions. So what you're going to do is start off by reading two integers, which will be the number of students in the class and the number of assignments per student. You will then prompt the user to enter the names of each student, and the name is going to be a string, and the assignment scores for each student, which will be floating point values. You'll need to ensure that the number of students is between 1 and 20, the number of assignments is between 1 and 10, and that the score on each assignment is between 0 and 100 inclusively. In addition, you have to have 5 functions in your code. These are going to be 4 of the functions. Your main function will be the 5th. You can have other functions if you'd like, but these are going to have to be 4 of the functions, with your main function being the 5th one, and you must have these in your code. We'll make this a little bigger for you, so hopefully you can see this. This first function, called getAverage per student, it takes a two-dimensional array, which is all of the scores. You're going to read all of the scores into a two-dimensional float array. Then you're going to pass that entire two-dimensional float array into a function called getAverage per student. Now, you're not going to need all of the scores. You're only going to need the scores for that specific student. However, since we have them stored in a two-dimensional array, we're going to pass the entire two-dimensional array into that function. We also are going to pass what student number we want to find the average for. Was it student 0, student 1, student 2, and so on? And how many total assignments do we have? Because we could have up to how many assignments? We could have up to 10 assignments. However, we might only have 3. So that's what num assignments will be. This is going to be the number of assignments that correspond to the student. And then you're going to find the average. The average is very easy. You add up all of those scores for that student and you divide it by the number of assignments. The second function, get the average for the assignment. Now we're taking all of those array, the two-dimensional array. We're also taking the total number of students in as a parameter, but this time we're just taking a single assignment number. So we want to find out what the average was on assignment number 1. So we have to iterate through all of the students, grab the assignment number 1 scores, and then divide it by the total number of students, and that'll tell us what the average is for that assignment. The standard deviation for the assignment works in the exact same manner. You're just going to use the standard deviation formula instead of using the average formula. Look up what the standard deviation is. There's 2 different standard deviation formulas, one that divides by n, one that divides by n minus 1. You can figure out which one I use. I believe that I divided by n minus 1 if you're trying to match the output that I have in the program below. The fourth function listed there is print scores. This is going to print out the table that you're going to see down below for all of the students, all of the assignments, and it's also going to print out the averages and standard deviations. My recommendation, from your main function, you're going to read in all of this data, but then you pass it all into the print scores function. You're going to start printing it out, and before you print out the average and the standard deviation, you're going to call each one of those functions. So calling the get average for student, get average for assignment, and get standard deviation for assignment is probably going to occur inside of the print scores function. You're going to read all of the data from the user in the main function and then pass all of that data into the print scores function from the main function. That's my recommendation of how I would go about writing this program. Here's a sample execution. So you can see 4 different students. It prints it out in a nice little table where you have the average here for each student. You have the average down here for each assignment, the standard deviation for each assignment, the overall average, and the overall standard deviation. So you need to figure out how you can get the overall average and the overall standard deviation as well. Chances are you're going to have to store these averages inside of some kind of a variable so that you have access to them to be able to find the average and the standard deviation for each of the assignments. There's your grading criteria at the bottom. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck.